Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the show. Here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite May 12th, 2021 review. This was a really good show. Really good show. Flowed very nicely. Had a lot of good storyline progressions going on. The main event for the TNT Championship was fantastic. At one point, I didn't think they should put the title on Miro right away. I think Darby Allin needed to lose the title at a pay-per-view because he was doing so well with that TNT Championship. But the way they made him lose that title was picture-perfect way of making him lose the title. They did it in a fashion that didn't make him look bad. Miro looked great. My only disparaging comment I'm going to say about this is they didn't build Miro up good enough, in my mind, with some wins, racked up some wins before winning the title. If they would have done that, I would really have no critical thing to say, a critique thing to say about it, because they would have done everything right. That's the only thing they really did wrong in the situation with Miro. Miro spent too much time with Kip Sabian. They should have broke that thing up and let them go their separate ways after that wedding situation. There shouldn't have been no arcade gimmick fight. I think that was absolutely ridiculous. It was a good match, but it really didn't, steal anything or raise any eyebrows or get more attention or anything like that. But Miro being TNT champion, I love it. Just like I said, should have had him rack up some wins leading towards Double or Nothing. I think this match should have took place on Double or Nothing. My buddy Matt, who I was texting before I came on here, he stated that he thinks that the card is completely filled up and that there wouldn't be any room for the TNT Championship. I disagree with you, Matt. I think the TNT Championship should be on there, and to be perfectly honest with you, it looks like it's going to be with Lance Archer and Miro, which I don't like. Lance Archer just appears out of fucking nowhere at the end and looking like he's going to challenge for the TNT Championship. Come on, man. They have no history with each other. Lance Archer standing there screaming. Jake the Snake Roberts looks ridiculous trying to hold him back and everything. That ending, I don't know. I think they should have just left it where Miro just celebrated with the championship and call it a night, and that's it. But I'm not going to totally shit on it. It was a really great main event. And the rest of this card was excellent as well. There was a lot of championship matches. Now, you guys may have heard me yesterday about NXT having championship matches coming up the next couple of weeks. I made a mistake from last night, just to confirm here. The NXT World Championship between Karrion Kross and Finn Balor is taking place on a regular episode instead of TakeOver 2 weeks from now. I am going to do a small rant here about that. I don't understand why the fuck that championship is being defended when they could easily just put that on the fucking pay-per-view of TakeOver and have them build a story between these two guys leading up to the pay-per-view, because I think right after their matchup 2 weeks from now, they're going to have a pay-per-view 2 weeks after that. So what, they're going to have a 2-week build between Karrion Kross and Finn Balor? I hope there's a fuck finish or just a double count out here where maybe they do a stipulation match, last man standing between Karrion Kross and Finn Balor, and have these two guys kill each other outside the ring, giving it a double count out, and basically kind of giving the idea it'll be hard for either one of these two guys to put each other down for a count of 10. I think that would be kind of a cool idea if they go that route. That would help build a story as well for the stipulation, so it would make a lot of sense. But getting off of NXT, AEW kickstarted the show with the IWGP US Championship with Jon Moxley versus Yuji Nagata. I believe I'm pronouncing the last name right. And this match was hard hitting. At the end of this match, we saw Jon Moxley's cheek by his nose bleeding. And I mean bleeding. It was beautiful. And it wasn't a cut, with a blade. It literally came from them forearming each other in the fucking face. Absolutely loved it. So much realism and a lot of heart in this match between these two guys. I absolutely loved it. If you wanted to put that as the main event of this episode, I would have been fine with that, because the way these guys went at it with each other was beautiful. But it was the opener. I'm okay with that too. It's fine. The match itself was just fantastic. I hope we get to see more of New Japan Wrestling than fucking Impact Wrestling, to be quite frank with you guys. I really think I'm gonna possibly, get rid of Impact Wrestling altogether and just do New Japan Wrestling. I'm not sure yet. I'm not really using Impact Wrestling all that much. As you guys can tell, I haven't been uploading as many videos from Impact Wrestling as I said I would, doing it week after week. It's hard to do that, but New Japan Wrestling is a little bit easier because they don't really have a week-to-week show. If they do, I'll try to cover it, I guess. But they do have big 3-hour events where they have a major championship match at the end of it, which I think is great. And I think that is the route that pro wrestling should go on soon, because week-to-week television, to me, it gets stale after a while. It's not like how it used to be in pro wrestling back in the 90s and the 2000s. Even the 80s, it was still better than this shit. But I gotta give it to AEW tonight. They hit it right on the fucking head. This was a very nice episode. There was not too many mistakes made in this episode at all. I mean, it was beautiful. Anyway, moving on here. We had Jon Moxley retain his championship for the IWGP US Championship. So after the match was over, Nagata and Moxley share some mad respect for one another, and that's pretty much it. Before this match even took place, they were being disrespectful to each other, so that was pretty much the lead into that match. Ortiz of the Inner Circle says Max showed his true colors at Blood and Guts as he threw Jericho off the cage and then had Santana arrested for using a fork. Hager, Sammy, and Ortiz want a rematch, or else tonight's coronation will turn into a fucking funeral. Which I'll get into once we get to that segment, because that was fucking great. Cody Rhodes actually cuts a promo, talks about the United States and how he has a lot of pride for America and so forth. I thought it was a very nice, emotional promo. And this guy, I swear to you, I don't know why the fuck WWE do what they do, but a guy like Cody Rhodes can come on tonight, cut the kind of promo he did. Imagine what fans would feel like with WWE if they allowed wrestlers to cut the same kind of promo. Heartfelt, emotional shit. That is what we got here. He was talking about Anthony Ogogo, which he needs to go because his wrestling capabilities absolutely suck. I was okay with him at first. I thought that punch to the liver or to the rib cage was a very nice maneuver to use in a first time ever match. I didn't really have an issue with it, but doing that move over and over and over again, very weak. Come on, we're in wrestling. We're not in boxing. If we were in boxing, you wouldn't have gotten a major injury. That's the reason why, by the way, folks, Anthony Ogogo does not box anymore. He suffered a major injury to his eye, which prevented him to stay in boxing. So he had to find another outlet, which was professional wrestling. Personally, I didn't have a problem with it. But when you use that as your finisher every fucking match, it gets old. Use it very sparingly. Use it as a signature to line up for a fucking finisher. But not use that as your finisher. Come on, man. That's shit. That really is. I mean, a punch to the gut should only stun the opponent. And then you hit him with a finisher, and there you go. Period. Done and over with that fucking conversation. But Cody, once again, going back to him, cut a very nice promo discussing about how America is still a free country despite the facts of the many differences and issues that are going on in America right now, such as Black Lives Matter thing. There was a person wearing that shirt, by the way. I disagree with the whole Black Lives Matter thing. Not saying that black people don't matter. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not a racist, okay? I better tread lightly on this conversation so I don't give people the misinterpretation of what I'm trying to say here. All I'm saying is everyone's life matters. White, black, it don't matter. Your skin color shouldn't make a fucking difference, okay? Plain and simple. This whole Black Lives Matter thing sucks. Anyone that's suffering from the police and injustice matters. So if a black person's getting injustice, we're all getting fucking injustice here. Everyone's lives matter because we're all Americans. We live in this fucking country. So let's cut the bullshit with the Black Lives Matter. We all matter. And if a black person's being mistreated by the police, then we all are being mistreated by police because it ain't fucking right that people are being treated that way by any kind of, no matter what race is being treated that way. It don't fucking matter. We're all as one. Let's start acting like it. Fuck skin color, okay? Anyway, my point being here is, this was a very nice promo. He talked about his daughter who's on the way. And it was very nice. Very beautiful stuff. Got me a little bit emotional. And I had a lot of respect for Cody. Cody is an outstanding performer. As a person, I'd love to meet the guy. I'm sure he's a fantastic human being. I don't think he's a piece of trash, lowlife, like some of the people that work in the professional industry, especially people in the WWE. Like I said before, I don't understand why we can't get the same quality shows from WWE like we do from AEW. I don't understand why we can't get that. Why an elderly old man can't give these people some sense of credibility for us to get excited over. I'm sorry I'm talking about WWE, but to me, I am a passionate wrestling fan. I want every fucking promotion to be able to be somewhat successful in everything that they're doing. I know not every promotion is going to be great or be at the level of a WWE or AEW, but they should all thrive to try to be the absolute best that they can be. And WWE has all the fucking money in the world, and yet they don't provide the best. If you're not going to be the best, don't be on television. Get the fuck off. Close your doors. Sell the fucking company to someone who will care. But don't waste our time. And that is what WWE does. AEW can fuck up a million times over again. I will always forgive them for what they did. Because what they did last week, yes, I did not like. I thought the ending sucked. And no, I wasn't totally upset about the fucking thing with him landing in a cardboard ramp and a fucking couchy bed-looking type of landing he fell on. That's not what I was upset about. It's that pussy move. Oh, if you don't say I surrender, I'll throw him from the cage. They surrender anyway, like a group of fucking dipshit losers thinking he's going to not throw him from the top of the cage, even though he does after they surrender. He throws him to the top from the top of the cage. They have that spot. I mean, my God, if you would have just thrown the fucker off the top of the cage without any sense of warning, quick, just grab him, throw him like nobody's business, people would not have been sitting there complaining, because the people don't state this. I state this every single time I do these reviews. The pace of the matches matter. That bullshit with, oh, surrender or I'm going to throw him off, was weak. It slowed the pace of the match down. All it had to be, throw him off the top of the cage, come down from the cage, beat every member up from the inner circle, making them putting them in a pool of their own blood, and then making Sammy Guevara being the last person, because he's the youngest guy of the group, surrender and say he gives up because he had no choice in the matter. Or you could have just put a bat underneath his neck and had him, force him to say, I quit, and he doesn't quit, and he just bleeds to death with him passing out, and the referee just calls the match a stoppage because there was nothing they can do at that point. They could have done that. There was a lot of different things they could have gone with. This was just the weakest thing they could have gone with, but whatever. Point being, AEW, every fucking time they screw up, they own up to the fact that they fucked up. They don't come out and say it openly, but they show it. And actions mean a lot more than words. And they prove it. Tonight they proved it. What a great fucking show. And as long as they just stop making these fucked up endings for these matches, people won't feel so bad after watching a great match like Blood and Guts that ended badly. People wouldn't say a damn thing. They'd be happy with what they saw and moved on to the next episode. And that's it. Match 2 was the AEW Tag Team title match. SCU versus the Young Bucks. Losers, the SCU, if they didn't win the tag titles, they'd have to quit, basically. This match was really good as well. Good tag team wrestling. Very much pay-per-view quality matchup. Very much. It could have been on pay-per-view. I even stated this shit. I stated this match should have been on fucking Double or Nothing. I guess it's just desperation for ratings, giving people the ability to see championship matches on live television without having to pay money for it. I mean, I get it, but if you're going to do that, don't have a pay-per-view that's coming up in just a few short weeks. This match could have been built up for the next 3 weeks. Double or Nothing is in about 2 to 3 weeks, man. They had a couple of weeks left they could have used to build up this match and made it really important. And they didn't. So, hey, it is what it is. The match was great. Christopher Daniels ended up getting kicked in the head while his head was placed up against the ring post, and he started bleeding like a stuffed pig. Now, folks, I don't know if this was a blade job or this was a legit gash on Christopher Daniels' face without him cutting himself. But if that was the case and it was without a blade, man, did he get fucked up. He got fucked up big time. I believe it was Nick Jackson who did the super kick while he was planted up against the ring post. What a fucking shot. Whatever it was, either a great blade job by Christopher Daniels or, man, did he get fucked up. Big time. Overall, everything else was kind of falling downhill for SCU at that point. They were struggling to stay within the match and gain control of the matchup. Young Bucks, as the match went on, just continued to beat the hell out of SCU. SCU did have moments where they were coming back. They looked like they were going to win. Christopher Daniels was trying to apply the fallen angel, I believe is what it's called, or the wing angels. I don't remember. He just basically makes it's in the form of a pedigree, and he lifts his opponent up in the air and just slams him up and lifts him up in the air and then slams him down, basically, and that's it. Frankie Kazarian, as a side note, did apply the Styles Clash. I believe it was on Matt Jackson, and they almost got the win with that move. That was fucking great. I loved it. That was a very nice spot. I'm sure we will be hearing something from AJ Styles from later on this week or sometime next week about this, because that was just fucking great. Great move by Frankie Kazarian. Unfortunately, they did lose this match. Christopher Daniels ate the pinfall. He got super kicked in the head, and then he got a double knee on both sides of his skull, ending the match and putting the match to an end. The Young Bucks walk away still the tag team champions, and Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian now have to retire as a tag team. Frankie Kazarian, I could imagine, probably will continue on his career. Still has plenty of time left in his career to keep going. Probably he'll become a singles competitor. Doing what? I don't know. Maybe he'll do backstage stuff and work with the younger talent, possibly. I'm not sure yet. Time can only tell what Frankie Kazarian's going to do. I know this is probably Christopher Daniels' retirement match. I don't think he's wrestling anymore. This guy is really old. He's done great things in pro wrestling, especially in TNA. He made TNA really a good place to watch X Division wrestling. He put that on the map along with AJ Styles and Samoa Joe. So he had a really decent career. Unfortunately, it was never with any big promotion. He was always in like TNA or Ring of Honor. But he always had some good matches under his belt, so he can be very proud of his career, especially in tag team wrestling with Frankie Kazarian. They did a great job together. But bottom line, awesome matchup. Good shit right there. If you missed this episode, check out everything that happened. There was not a thing to miss. This was an excellent show. So Kaz was actually astounded at the loss as they cut to Mox and Kingston destroying the Elite's locker room in anger. This is getting to the point where I assumed later on in the show, the Young Bucks were issuing a challenge to Kingston and Moxley at Double or Nothing. Now, I don't know if this is for the tag team titles or this is just a non-title match, grudge match type of situation. I hope it's not for the tag team titles, because I don't want to see Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston lose this match, because I don't see them being tag team champions. There's some people on YouTube that are saying that. I don't. They're not really a tag team that needs to be a tag team champions. I mean, I understand that they're best friends and everything, but they're not a legit tag team. Come on, guys. Let's get real with ourselves. The tag team that deserves to win the tag titles from the Young Bucks is Jurassic Express. They are in the top 5 of tag team wrestling right now. They have been doing the most out of everybody, and have been very entertaining at what they do. I think at All Out, they should win the tag team titles from the Young Bucks. Plain and simple. That's my decision, and I think that's probably a good prediction, more than likely. So we go from that to we see SCU embracing before we cut to Christian Cage. He tells Taz to send one of his members next week to sign an open contract, but later revealed that Matt Sydal is the person who signed the contract to face Christian Cage. Christian Cage also announced that he will be in the Casino Battle Royale with an opportunity to challenge the World Heavyweight Champion in the future. Oh, dear Lord. Guys, I don't know why the hell a Battle Royal crowns you as a number 1 contender. You go from not having to do diggly shit anything. All you got to do is throw a couple of guys over the top fucking rope, and you get an opportunity for the World Heavyweight Championship. This is not the Royal Rumble, folks. This is a fucking Battle Royal. Okay? I don't know if this is supposed to resemble a Royal Rumble in their own way, but I don't like this idea Battle Royals grant you a world championship opportunity. I think that's fucking crap. This is actually the one thing I will shit on this episode. I hope Christian Cage is just being added in there to give him something to do. He doesn't actually win the Battle Royal. Give it to a younger talent that will face Kenny Omega on Dynamite, making that as the main event of the show and, showing off their ability and what they can do in the ring against a guy like Kenny Omega. That's what I would do. I don't think this Battle Royal needs to go to someone like Christian Cage right now. Christian Cage still needs to keep working on his record and showing he is worthy enough to challenge for the world championship. I would rather see Christian Cage challenge for a world title in good matches on television first before given the opportunity to challenge for a world title. I think that's fucking stupid to just, you're in a battle royal. You win, you get to be able to face the world champion. No, that's bullshit. I totally disagree with this idea. If it's to put star power into the battle royal like you would do at a Royal Rumble, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. It all depends on the end result of the match. If it's Christian Cage who wins, I'm going to be pissed. But I'll have to wait until Double or Nothing on that one to start ranting and raving if that takes place. All right. So Matt Sydal is facing Christian Cage next week in a one-on-one match. Nobody from Team Taz. Thank God. Because Team Taz and Christian Cage has gotten really old real quick. All right, so an AEW Eliminator match for the number one contendership for the world title. Orange Cassidy went up against Pac. This match was a very grueling back and forth matchup. The only problem is we didn't have a winner. It ended up with Kenny Omega interfering in the match and eventually leading to a double count out. My thoughts on that. Not a double count out where one of them sitting on the outside of the ring or something, both of them sitting on the outside of the ring or something like that. But just a situation where they both got counted out. Later it was announced that this is going to be a triple threat match for the World Heavyweight title. My thoughts on that, I did not particularly like. I thought that was shit. I think it should have been Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega, just one-on-one. Nobody else involved in this match, and that's it. That's really all there should have been at the end of all this. Trying to have an issue here. Give me one sec. My fucking having an issue trying to get the results of the rest of the show. Wish this shit would actually fucking work for once. Apologize, guys, for that. Alright. So, yeah, like I said, Pac and Orange Cassidy will get a shot for the World Championship at Double or Nothing in a triple threat match. Kenny Omega and Don Callis are actually pretty pissed off at this, that they have to go ahead and defend he has to defend the World Championship. The Elite are in their locker room upset about Kingston and Moxley trashing the place. And the Bucks invite Varsity Blondes to step in the ring with them next week, but they're going to settle a personal grudge for themselves at Double or Nothing, and they want Kingston and Mox at the pay-per-view. So, personally, like I said, Moxley and Kingston versus the Young Bucks, non-title match, good with. Tag team titles, all right, if you want to jump the ante, make it a little bit more important, fine. But I don't want to see Moxley and Kingston winning the tag team titles. They don't need to win the fucking tag team titles. What they need to do is they need to get even with Kenny Omega and the Elite and kick their fucking asses. If you really want to get technical and get really fucking gritty and dirty, stack the fucking deck up against Kingston and Moxley and make it a 5-on-2 handicap match for a fucking a Dynamite episode. I would be totally fine with that and see them overcome the odds and actually win against those 5 guys. That would be fucking great. Now, maybe some people would say, hey, you don't want to do that. It'll make the Elite look weak. No, not really. If you don't have them pin Kenny Omega, that's fine. Kenny Omega should not be suffering a loss. I will admit that to everyone. He should not be eating the pin. That's common sense here. Either Carl Anderson or Doc Gallows, one of those two should be eating the pinfall. Not even the Young Bucks should be eating a pinfall here if they were to do that match. Because they're tag team champions. Kenny Omega's a world champion. You can't have them, losing. They're tag team champions and the world champion. The Good Brothers don't have shit right now. So they were to suck it and, take an L. That's one thing, but either those 3 guys, the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega eating the L, no, I'm totally against that. That I would not be okay with. But they do have outlets of choosing among other members of the Elite to lose where it won't hurt them in any way, shape, or form. The Good Brothers are a good pick for that. I mean, you could do a 1-by-1 going after their opponents. I hope that the tag team titles are just not on the line. I hope this is just a simple little grudge tag team match, and that's it. And with that being said, them not being a real legit tag team, the Young Bucks losing to Kingston and Moxley, I wouldn't have a problem with that because they're not out for tag team gold. So you're not really giving the same kind of situation that you would if you had them as a legit tag team. So I hope that all makes sense to you guys, because it does to me. Anyway. But yeah, I truly believe that the Kingston and Moxley deserve a little bit of revenge of what has happened to them in the last couple of weeks. So that's just how I feel on that. Hangman Page and the Dark Order are interviewed. I'm going to admit this to you guys. I think Hangman Page really does not fit in well with the Dark Order. He doesn't bring any kind of value to the Dark Order. The Dark Order doesn't bring any value to him. It's like they're a fucking sideshow goofball group. I personally do not like it. I did at one point, but that's when I thought they were going to actually have him as the leader of the group. He's not really anything. He's not evolved into anything. He's the same character drinking an alcoholic beverage and just standing there looking like he's fucking hasn't slept in days and looks like he's drunk off his ass. So if that's the role he's going to play, get him away from the Dark Order. Find somebody else that's more suitable to be a leader of this group. Turn them into a more serious group. I already know who the hell would fit that role extremely well. That would be Sami Callihan from Impact Wrestling. You bring his ass over to AEW and put him as the leader of the Dark Order. He will make them look legit badasses. He had OVE, Ohio versus Everything, on Impact Wrestling. And him and he had these other 2 guys. And he had Madman Fulton, who's now with Ace Austin. If you guys are familiar with that, if not, go ahead and check it out just to get some research and understand what I'm talking about, if you even care for that matter. But he turned them into a sociopathic group that are fucking killers. and he did some off-the-wall shit. Eddie Kingston suffered an accidental shot to the fucking eyeball with a baseball bat. He bled like a stuffed pig. His fucking eye was swollen shut. It was incidental. It wasn't done on purpose, but it was fucking beautiful. And I felt bad for Kingston. I'm glad his eye was okay and he didn't suffer any severe, eye issues for the rest of his life. But that was just fucking brutal. But it worked. It was a great image. It just wasn't an image I think would have been great if, Kingston suffered a fucking permanent eye injury. But yeah, I think Sammy Callahan is would be a great leader for Dark Order. If you guys don't believe me, go look at what he did with OVE and you'll understand why I said what I said. All right. So yeah, Hangman Page just kind of discussed with the announcer or the backstage interviewer about Brian Cage. He made a challenge to Brian Cage without any Dark Order being there, without any Team Taz being there. He'd like to face Brian Cage in a one-on-one match, no outside interferences from either side. He wants to be able to see if that was a fluke win or not. Because he thinks he could have won that match. And he wants to be able to give Brian Cage a legit shot at proving himself. And more than likely, Brian Cage will accept the challenge. And we will see this at Double or Nothing. My thoughts on this could have been done on fucking Dynamite. I would have been fine with that on Dynamite and seeing the TNT Championship on Double or Nothing with Miro and Darby Allin. But pickers can't be choosers, But anyway, it's not a big deal. I mean, I guess it's a good way of kickstarting the show, which Hangman Page seems to be doing that lately. Kickstarting shows most of the time. But anyway, it was, it's okay. I think it's an alright idea. It makes sense. And it definitely flows with the pay-per-view name and everything. So the Pinnacle make their entrance, bringing some pretty ladies to the stage with them for their celebration, coronation type of deal. A lot of this felt like like I was watching the Four Horsemen. And with Tully Blanchard being the manager there, he makes it feel a little like we're watching the Four Horsemen only with a new group of guys, or like Evolution. I feel like I'm watching like Evolution maybe with the Pinnacle, because Pinnacle remind me of Evolution only without the modern day superstar leader of the group being the world champion like Triple H was with Evolution. But these guys are the future of AEW, every one of them. And what with Evolution is definitely the proper name for this group. But, I mean, you can't copycat everything you've seen in the past. That's just fucking retarded. Speaking of copying the past, there is something that does take place. And I thought it was funny, though. So, Maxwell, MJF is wearing a crown. Says you'll call him the greatest of all time and you should bow to him and the Pinnacle. He doesn't know if the mouth-breathing pores have heard this, but last week they were number one on cable for the first time ever and broke a record on TSN in Canada as well. And he gives all the credit in the world to the Canadian legend Sean Spears. Okay. He says he's a benevolent king and asks if we want to see a rematch. But his answer is actually no. No wonder. He's a heel. Tully Blanchard gets on the mic and says he's been on top many times in the past, but this group of guys right here, they took everything the Inner Circle could dish out last week and made them quit. When you quit, and the Pinnacle deserves the finest things. He's got a present right here that he spent thousands of dollars on expensive watches for all 5 of his guys on the team. Every time they see on their wrist, they will know it was a present from Tully Blanchard, and that's what being part of the Pinnacle is all about. He got very emotional as well. All the members on Pinnacle gave him a big hug, thanking him. And all of a sudden, we got a honking sound from some sort of vehicle. And the Inner Circle drive up to the arena in some kind of mutant golf cart with a trailer attached to it. The trailer has a banner hanging on it with the picture of Chris Jericho's labeled "a little bit of the bubbly." Only one problem. This was not a little bit of the bubbly, and I'll explain why. And MJF tells them to drive off because Chris Jericho is never showing his face on Dynamite again, and the Inner Circle is done. Okay, so Jericho pops out of nowhere. Pops out of the back of that trailer, arm in a brace and standing up in the trailer. He asks for a rematch, but again, Friedman says the answer is no. And Chris tells Sammy to get him, and he opens up fire with a champagne cannon, soaking the Pinnacle and sending the girls running. This spot right here was not a little bit of the bubbly. This was a lot of the bubbly. I mean, we were seeing a repeat of the fucking Attitude Era with Stone Cold Steve Austin. My buddy Matt, he texts me, he says, I know for a fact we might hear from him about this segment, probably saying he loved it and he laughed at it or something like that. I forgot what he said in that text. But he did mention that if he was watching, he probably was laughing because it reminded him back when he did it. When I saw that segment, I was thinking of Vincent Mann swimming in that fucking pool of beer and just in the ring swimming like a fucking fish. That, I got to admit, out of all the things that I hate about Vincent Mann, what he did in the past, back in the day when I was a young kid, oh God, that was fucking classic. That was a classic moment in professional wrestling. And they tried to reinvent it with the champagne. They also did it with Kurt Angle with the milk truck. But, I mean, this was good. Was it, mind-boggling, different or new? No, we've seen this done before in pro wrestling back in the Attitude Era, but it hasn't been done in a long time. And I'm sure it got people at least laugh. Not go, oh my God, this is something totally new I've never seen before. Come on. If you have the fucking Peacock or if you had WWE Network at any point in time in your life since 2014 and now, I'm sure you've seen that fucking segment where Steve Austin sprays the whole entire ring and Vince McMahon's fucking swimming in a damn beer. Okay? So, let's get real. But my God, man, they fucking excelled with this. This was fucking great. Afterwards, MJF was a little pissed off. He was pretty pissed. He said, okay, you want your rematch? You got it. But there's 2 stipulations. 1, you got to face us in the Stadium Stampede match. The one that you lost in last year against the Elite. Secondly, if you lose, Inner Circle's done for good. I was like, is 50-50 booking an option here? Because I don't want to see the Inner Circle go away. I love the Inner Circle. I think they're great. They got great fucking merchandise, clothing. I really ought to go out and buy some. I love the Inner Circle. I might as well show it off and represent, But, I mean, I really don't want to see the Inner Circle go bye-bye. I enjoy their stuff. I enjoy what Jericho's done. And I think with him and Sammy Guevara, they really do a great job together. But chances are, yeah, they're going to lose this match, more than likely. So we have Jim Ross actually sitting down at interview with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Folks, this promo was fucking fantastic. Britt Baker has evolved big time. She has been doing a lot of character changes. Not like, who she is and what she is and all that. She's still the same person. But she's got an attitude. She's got a charisma. She cuts really good promos, better than she has in the past. In the ring, I don't know yet. I haven't seen her on national television at all, except for that jobber match, which her facial expression last week was fucking great. But they start talking about, Hikaru Shida earlier last year faced each other, and Shida made her bleed from her nose, broke her nose really bad. She had to have constructive surgery, putting her out of action for 5 months. But she later on talked about how she interfered with the Forbes Photoshop earlier in the day and attacking Shida during this photo shoot, which Jim Ross thought it was a little disrespectful to the owner of the company, of Tony Khan. She says she just thought the article should have pics with the current champ when it goes to print. So that's why she interfered, because she believes she's going to win the title at the pay-per-view. She says she's the pulse of the division, and come Double or Nothing, the women's division is going to live on its own when she becomes the champion, guaranteed. Excellent promo. Jasmine Allure versus Thunder Rosa. This was a jobber match. Thunder Rosa won this match with no problem very quickly. She wants the NWA championship for the women's division from there, and she wants the women's title from AEW. My thoughts? Real simple. Thunder Rosa wins the title leading up to All Out by like June or July. The NWA World Championship for women. And then at All Out, we have a title for title match between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. Period. Have both titles on the line. Have a good old unification match. Not that the titles need to be unified, but to make them a double champion defending on both NWA and in AEW. I think that would be a great match. Being that the title of the pay-per-view is called All Out, why don't we go all out and put everything on the line? I think that would be a great way to promote that match with that title of the pay-per-view. It also would have worked good with Double or Nothing. So we had a promo video by Darby Allin going back to the beat-up old skate building that he used to haunt, and asking Miro what he's exactly achieved in AEW. He knows exactly who he is, but who is Miro? He's not letting him take the title away from him and say what you want, but you'll have to admit he's the one of the toughest men he's ever stepped in the ring with. And then the main event started. That promo, by the way, by Darby Allin was great. I absolutely enjoyed that. It showed us a little insight on what his childhood was like. He didn't live a very good childhood. He went from the bottom, worked his way all the way to the top, doing what he loves to do. That's pro wrestling. Great little story that they told us here with Darby Allin. Give us more insight on who Darby is, where he came from. And the rest was history. The TNT Championship match was the last segment on the show. And Darby Allin lost in a very close and brutal matchup. These guys beat the hell out of each other. Mostly Darby Allin took the punishment. And Miro walked away as the new TNT champion by submission, but not by Darby Allin tapping out. He just had nowhere else to go. He was put in an not stretch, the camel clutch, and was pulled all the way back, and he had nowhere else to go. He wasn't responding either, and he had nowhere to grab a rope to break the the hold. So the referee had to stop the match altogether. He wasn't even responding. So that was the end of the match, and that was the end of Darby Allin's title reign. Am I upset about it? Not entirely, but I think it should have been saved for a pay-per-view again. But at the end of the day, this match was fucking great. I don't care one way or another. The end result, it doesn't matter to me. I think Miro will do a good job as TNT champion. How long he stays as champion, I don't know. I just hope that they put him up against some good opponents and give him a good run with that title, and eventually maybe even win the world title at some point down the line in the next year or two from here on out. But anyway, guys, that's all I have to say on this review. So you know what to do. Hit the like button if you like this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely get back to you on that. And I thank you guys very much for watching. Have a great night, guys. Bye.